Hey, good morning and good afternoon, and potentially even good evening. It just depends on where you're joining us from. Thank you so much for joining us for this panel event. Some of you might be actually listening to the recording or watching the recording, so thank you for that as well. My name is Eric Schultz. I'm with Journey Alliance, and I have Mark and Jordan here with me as well with Journey Alliance, not Jordan Alliance, but Journey Alliance, although she is the face of the company now. But no, so Jordan's the one behind the scenes that makes all this happen for us. So I just want to recognize her as our content manager and then some. But anybody that's ever participated on one of these panels knows how much work really goes into this. And it's not just a matter of getting the panel members that we're going to have today together. It's all the research that goes into it. So those of you who have ever been and watched one of our panel events, you have seen the reports that come either before or after the event. Stay on the lookout for the report related to this particular event, because the guests that we have today are going to be able to share so much that you might be interested in. The report that Jordan's put together is going to share so much more as well. So stay on the lookout for that. But we're going to go ahead and jump in, because you're not here to hear me talk. You're here for each one of these panel members and to learn from them and to hear what's going on in the marketplace. Quickly on my end, before I hand off to them, this is near and dear for a lot of us. For me, in the work that we do for Journey Alliance, we have been talking about, like most of you, have talking about AI for a number of years. And when we've worked with leadership teams for their planning sessions, one of the standard exercises that we still use, we still believe in it, is the SWOT, opportunities and threats. And the conversation around AI, I firmly believe, fits both of those buckets. And it really just depends for you as a business leader, as an individual contributor, as a business owner. It depends on what you choose to do with it and what you choose to make of it as well. So I'm really looking forward to this panel myself. Let's go ahead and just do a round of introductions with the group as we jump in. I'm going to go Chad, Rob, Johnny, Jeremy, Lee. Just go ahead and give us that quick introduction of who you are, what you're representing, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, good morning, everyone, or good afternoon. My name is Chad Waite. I handle the partnership division at Document Crunch, which hopefully is a familiar name with most of you. Maybe a few of you are even using what we do. Excited to get into the AI discussion here, as we definitely sit right at the center of that.
Thanks a lot, Chad.
Yeah, and I'm Rob Rodriguez, the COO at Hub Analytics. We are an all-in-one financial reporting platform, leveraging AI insights.
Thanks a lot, Rob. Johnny?
Hello, everyone. My name is Johnny Magzal. I am a founding member and currently the head of growth at Toggle AI. We are building what we hope to be the fastest quantity takeoff tool in the world. We are leveraging AI in many aspects of the quantity takeoff. So hopefully you'll enjoy the discussion today.
Yeah, thank you, Johnny. Really looking forward to hearing what you all are up to. Jeremy?
Yeah, thank you. Jeremy Chasen, Senior Manager of Business Development for Strategic Partnerships at Procore. And what that really means is I own and manage and bring to market a lot of our strategic tech partnerships. Some of the wonderful folks on the call today here, Chad and Johnny, are two of our great partners. And excited to be here for the conversation.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Jeremy. Yeah, I've heard of you all before. Well, thanks a lot. Lee, how about you?
Yeah, so Lee Truax. I'm an AI consultant focusing on helping organizations in specific roles to develop the AI foundational skills so that there's an ability to essentially re-engineer and transform workflows and critical tasks that can best be offloaded to AI, and preparing your team and your organization for the transformation that AI can bring.
Hey, thanks a lot, Lee. Let's go ahead. I'm assuming right now you all can hear me. Let's go ahead and just jump in with our first question. I have some of those winds passing through from this storm. I'll have my problem fixed here in a second. If not, Mark, tag, you're in. But let's go ahead and jump in with the first question for everybody. Jordan, if you want to go ahead and push it on screen. And as you're pushing that question on screen, anybody that's here in the audience that's listening, watching, this is going to be the best event if you go ahead and push your questions in for each of these panel members or for larger group as well. We have some questions that we've gathered in advance that we're going to go ahead and push on and move through the different panel members. But please jump in and push anything into the chat with questions that you have along the way. And you can tell just from the introductions, we have a pretty wide variety of companies represented here in terms of how they are using AI to help you work on and solve the problems that you have in the businesses that you're working with as well. Lee, I'm going to leave you on screen for this one since you're there. And just as we look at this, really what we're asking are what are the more immediate and measurable benefits that someone can expect in adopting the solution that you're representing? And from your perspective, how quickly do they see a return on investment on that?
Yeah, so the work that I've been doing with a team of other consultants is really just foundational to understanding what the base model can do, how it can impact my role, how I can bring some of the expertise and reasoning power of AI to my daily tasks, and then reapply them and essentially offload them to AI in the things that it can do best, freeing up the creativity of the team to be able to do the things that bring higher value. And so it is in a real short term. Generally, we provide a black belt, so 8 sessions of opportunity to learn just exactly what your base models can do. Within probably the 3rd belt, you're already benefiting greatly from being able to do things quicker, easier, faster, and cheaper than you've done them in the past because you're able to offload them precisely what AI does best. And so I'm a little bit of a generalist here in the conversation, but recognizing that AI can improve our general knowledge work in significant ways, and not that it's coming, but reality is it's here. So what can we do with it? And that's what the Black Belt certification process is all about.
Mark, looks like we can't hear you.
We can hear you.
You are still muted, Mark.
How about now?
Yeah,
Yes,
There.
I hear you now.
I was, I guess, triple muted, so that's a new experience. So Eric's having some technical difficulties. I'm going to jump in. Chad, how about that same question to you?
Yeah, I would say if you're looking at AI, there's a lot of weight around understanding it. I think there's a perception that it is a very complex thing to leverage and take advantage of. The truth is, if you look at artificial intelligence through the lens of applying, very specific, dedicated technology to monotonous tasks, the way that you actually see value in it then is efficiency gains, right? And I know that that's very general, a very generalized statement. I'm sure everybody here would say the same thing. But if you can take the human input that it takes to get a certain job done that is now offset by the application of technology, the efficiency gains there typically are not hard to calculate a dollar amount around, right? Like if you're X amount more efficient, what does it actually mean from a financial impact? And that's generally the impetus for a lot of discussions around adopting AI. But I will also say that the long-term values, the long-term, things that you get out of applications of these systems tend to be a little bit more long tail. They tend to be a little bit more difficult to sum up right from the get-go, but you realize those benefits over time. And I, of course, can speak to a bunch of examples of that, if and when time allows. But I would say that most of the time when you are looking at judging a good AI platform and you're saying, why should we bring this in? Efficiency gains is the number one thing, right? And there's really no other way to quantify it right from the beginning to paint a better value add. You will save time, and that typically translates into a lot of money for helping with tasks that a lot of other people don't normally want to do.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the really the concise perspective when I think about it, is that each one of you likely represents some way for efficiency gain, saving time, and in turn likely saving some amount of money through the process. Curious, Johnny, from your perspective, same question as what we just were talking about when we're looking at what are the expected benefits and potential return on investment?
Yeah. So again, Toggle is a quantity takeoff tool, and like estimators spend 60 to 70% of their time coloring and tracing. And for us, it's pretty simple. It is how much time we cut from them doing the annoying part of the job, which is coloring and tracing. Again, I know we will cover this later on, but very important thing, we say that we are not trying to replace the estimator because there's a lot of art in estimating. What we are trying to remove from them is any part of the task that really doesn't require a lot of experience or it doesn't bring a lot of value to the business. So from, again, measuring, it's purely time. We cut people's time down, while, again, the most important thing, what I always try to preach, is we keep the control in their hands. They are the captains of this tool. Again, I know we will cover maybe this later on, but again, for us, it's time. We cut people's time down. And basically, when we cut time, we open time for higher value tasks like building relationships with subcontractors, value engineering, a lot of other things.
Yeah. So I like that, because I think that if everybody is honest that's listening or watching right now, there's that fear for most people of what does this mean for my job? And there are probably some real conversations, whether we get into those today or not, I don't know. But Johnny, to what you mentioned, is it has a potential, the efficiency gain has a potential to free up time for some of those higher value activities.
That's mainly it, yeah. And this being scared about losing your job is a totally other rabbit hole. I'm happy to discuss it.
Yeah, Jeremy, I'm interested in your perspective on this in the world of partnerships for Procore, because I can imagine when we're talking about benefit and return on investment, that's an aspect of how you size up. Is this a good partner for us as well? So just curious on your perspective on the question.
Yeah, great point in how you phrased that. So thank you. I very much agree with everything that all the other panelists have said. Makes a ton of sense, and I couldn't have said it better. But to add on top of that, I think this technology is helping level the playing field. When you think about what this technology is doing, how it's creating efficiency gains, and what, as we continue to progress along the maturity curve of what this technology is doing today and is going to be able to do, we know that a lot of construction is based on experience, and doing well in construction is based on many years of that experience. A lot of people have those go-to people in their company or on their job sites that just have a lot of that information in their mind and know how to synthesize it because they've been doing it for so many years, right?
Yeah.
This AI and construction technology, I think part of what it's really going to do for people, and can do it immediately, is just scale the knowledge and bring that knowledge to anyone on your team. So it really levels the playing field, depending on, you could be a small business or a big business, but still get the benefit of these technologies. And you don't need to do it alone. You don't need to have your own data that is created by your own people. That's 100% only what you're utilizing, right? There's all these great technologies out there, and we've got a couple examples of them on the call today. But those technologies are solving specific problems and using data at scale to learn and to solve those problems. So being able to bring all of that experience and basically amplify the experience of any team member, you get efficiency, but you also get all of that historical experience that the data models are allowing AI to learn and represent on.
Yeah, I like that perspective, Jeremy. The level the playing field. So just the perspective that newer business, newer in construction, smaller business compared to larger business, AI really has the opportunity to, as you said, level the playing field, and that can both be exciting and encouraging for some people, and for some people, that should be an eye opener to say, hey, what got us here might not keep us here as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And then from my job, it's actually pretty awesome because I get to go out and speak to a lot of either founders or people that are building these technologies to solve specific problems that are really exciting. So it's fun to get to learn every day about a new potential partner or what an existing partner is doing.
That's great. Thanks for that. Hey, let's go ahead and jump to some of the questions that are popping up in the chat here. Lance, thanks for joining us. Good to have you here. I know you had a question, and this question really had to do with, and I'll kind of point this at some of you to answer for us, is how you're staying focused on core clients while addressing needs of businesses that aren't currently aligned with your platform. So it's really a matter of focus. How are you keeping your solution to the problem that you're solving focused? Chad, I'd love to hear from you first, and then Johnny, I'm going to jump to you on this one.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'm going to echo something that Jeremy just said. And one of the benefits of AI, and this is kind of the long tail benefits that I was talking about, was the word we use is the democratization of information, right? So the ability to ingest very complicated things that typically one or two people in an organization would understand and have parity in that understanding across the board. So when you say, look, how are you making sure that this is addressing, clients anywhere at any time? I mean, the candid answer, at least for us, is that we look at Document Crunch as a risk, a contractual risk and compliance solution that works really well inside of other systems, right? Jeremy mentioned a few times, we're embedded deeply within Procore. So to your question, Lance, it's a great one. We try to meet users where they're at, right? So if our clients don't necessarily have a project management system and they need a standalone piece of software that's still easy to use and still solves that democratization of their contracts, the data they're in, or if they're like, hey, look, we don't even want another piece of content, right? I'm sure most of the people listening here maybe have a little bit of content fatigue, right? There's a lot of people trying to get your attention and get you to add another piece of technology to the stack. So we meet the customers where they're at. If they're not necessarily in the market or in the business of being able to log into Document Crunch, let's have them plug in directly to Procore and have the same output, have the same workflow, have the same access to data and efficiencies, just done directly through a system of record that they're already working in. So I'm not sure if that's necessarily addressing the alignment side, but what I can tell is we try to meet users where they already live to reduce friction, to still deliver the same values if they were able to come to us directly.
Yeah. So Chad, if I understand what you're saying right, and enough about what you do, you're clear on the broader market that you serve, and yet you've been able to develop it in a way that you can kind of scale up, scale down, work with this technology, work with no existing specific technology platform. So you're really solving the problem regardless of where the end user is within your market.
Yeah, and one last thing I'll add to that is I think that construction is an industry that, the kind of tired, dusty narrative now is that we're all behind the eight ball in technology, right? Everybody's heard that. That's been said for a long time. AI's, still well within that. I think the real friction point isn't that we're tired of or slow to adopt. I think it's a very pragmatic issue where, it's not that there's a lack of appetite to adopt things that are going to make you more efficient. It's that people are busy and only have so much time in the day, right? So AI is best leveraged if it can be something that meets users where they're already at and creates that kind of seamless, frictionless deployment of adoption rather than having to twist somebody's arm to say, here's another tool that you use, right? So this really kind of goes in again to addressing the type of vertical is if you understand that your vertical is hesitant to adopt more technology and train more people on something that they don't have more time for, then you got to work around that, find those ways to actually address it.
Yep, I appreciate that. So Johnny, I want to ask you the same exact question. How are you all staying focused within the market that you're in? I mean, I guess that's probably the summary of the question.
Yeah, sure. This is, I think, an existential question for a lot of companies, especially startups, like companies 4 or 5 years old. It's an existential, profound question. I think the most important thing is for the company to understand what business they are in. For example, in our case, AI. Again, I'm seeing some comments. I will love to address these comments in the chat. But for example, we are in the business of quantity takeoffs. And at the end of the day, again, this might sound a little bit controversial. The user does not care if the tool is AI, if the tool is called Johnny, is called rocket science, Tom Cruise coming out of a plane, jumping from the plane. The user doesn't care. All the user cares about is getting their job done. And we are in the business of quantity takeoffs. So every time a user comes and asks us for a feature or request for something, we sit and we think, is this going to help our philosophy of becoming the best quantity takeoff tool in the world? Yes, okay, we will put it on the pipeline in the like a product backlog and start building it whenever we have building cycles. But so this is it. I think it is the most important thing is look in the mirror and understand what are we doing. For example, people ask us, we are a quantity takeoff tool, and they ask us, how do we do estimating? And we say, we don't have an estimating module inside Toggle, and I don't think we want to have an estimating module. We think there's a lot in quantity takeoff that we can still do. So what we are doing is, as again, part of our philosophy or mission, is we are in conversations in the new estimating tools that are popping up that are web-based, and we were going to make sure that Toggle will communicate with them, like your calendar communicates with your email, like everything integrates at this point. We want to become, again, specifically very good in quantity takeoff and let people use whatever estimating tool they want to use. We want to use estimating tool A, we will talk to it. You want estimating tool B, we will talk to it, but we want people to build this in their mind. When it comes to takeoff, they will come to Toggle, and this is where, again, we make sure that we are always building features that will follow this vision.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Johnny. It sounds like you're hyper focused on the problem that you solve, and there's an openness in terms of how you approach that with, you know, what's already existing in the marketplace or who's already out there as well.
100%. And again, like the word AI is a little bit too sexy, you know, artificial.
Yeah.
If it was maybe named a little bit differently, people would have approached it differently. You can go to the literature and history about the word. The guy who came up with the word was going to call it complex mathematical systems, but then they didn't like it. It is, you know, it's not Tom Cruise jumping from an airplane or something like that.
No, I appreciate that. So what I'm going to do, just some housekeeping. I am seeing questions that are dropping in there. Brandon, I see you. Heather, I see you. Everybody that that liked and gave a thumbs up to what Brandon put in there, I see you as well. So Jordan, I'm going to have you push up that next question on the screen, the number 2 that we had coming in. Lee, I'm going to go to you, but before you start to get into this question based off of the solution that you have, I want to recognize Brandon, Heather, and everybody else. Your struggle, frankly, was my same struggle. So I, a year ago, personally said, okay, I need to figure out what to do with this whole AI thing. And each person here that represents a software solution, I think if we look at their software and we hear what they're saying, we can get a clear picture of the problem they solve and what it is that they can benefit for you and for the organization that you're part of, whether you own it or whether you're working for it. But for me, what I was looking at is, what about the in-between? How do I, in terms of my own leadership journey, how do I, in terms of my own role as an owner or as a leader, how do I apply AI if I don't have necessarily a specific software solution that I'm pointed at? And, you know, I started to explore ChatGPT and Gemini and this and that. And I was looking for a very practical solution that would help me actually leverage AI in a way that wasn't just a bunch of fluff. I wanted to do exactly what this panel has shared so far, which is to be able to create efficiency and make myself more effective. Because I figured if I could do it for myself, the role that Journey plays for their clients means that I could bring that into our clients, and I could help leaders within these organizations augment their roles so that they could in turn also use software like this to become that much better as leaders and that much better as organizations. That's where Lee comes into play. So this was kind of a heavy-handed approach as I moved this to Lee. Spoiler alert, full disclosure, Journey Alliance has partnered with Lee Truax and the organization that he represents, because what he's focused on, as he shared in the beginning, is it's more of a what's called a leadership development. Brandon, it answers your question. Heather, it answers your question, and everybody that resonated with, which is, how do I actually do something with this, not aside from, but in partnership with the other software solutions? How do I actually start to develop myself to make use of what's available out there in the marketplace? So, Jordan, if you don't mind, go ahead and push that question up. Lee, this one's for you, and then we'll go ahead and I'll call someone out afterwards, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, so in also reading Brandon's comments and getting the multiple thumbs up on it, we recognize that when we talk about AI, there's a component of a technology challenge and all the great technology that's coming out, and we keep mentioning that, and verticals that are leveraging the power of the technology to get things done more effectively and efficiently, and that's phenomenal. But really some of the questions that we have today. A couple decades ago, Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross wrote a book called On Grief and Grieving, and it talked about the 5 stages of grief. Well, we've identified kind of the 5 stages of AI, and they include indifference, fear, embarrassment, confidence, and finally transformation. And the first kind of go round, we're a little bit indifferent. Yeah, AI is here. Sure, it can't really do much for me. Or we move into the fear aspect of I'm being, FOMO. I'm being left out here. Everybody's talking about AI. I've got to do something with AI, to the point where I'm embarrassed that I've actually tried AI and I brought a work product to work that I developed with AI. And now I'm even afraid because it's a better work product, a deliverable than I would have done without AI. Now what do I do? And so really what I represent is a base model training. So any LLM that you want to start working with, whether it's Copilot because you're a Microsoft shop, or Gemini because you're a Google Workspace shop, or you've looked at ChatGPT or others, the idea is just giving you that ability to become an AI-powered human and an AI-powered organization. And then you can start to look at, in your unique niche, in your vertical, what is it that AI does really, really well? And I think all the panelists have spoken to that matter very well and will continue to. But I think first step is understanding what it can do for me in the context of me and in my organization. And that's really what the Black Belt training certification process that we're doing with Journey Alliance is all about. Getting in on a cohort and saying, how do I put stuff in? How do I get stuff out? Spot number one, that's what the white belt is all about. Moving all the way up to, I'm actually able to create some routines, or what we call GPTs, that offload some of this tedious, monotonous work that frankly AI can do a million times over and never lose stride or run out of breath like we can in just having to do the monotony. And so I love Johnny's comment. Let's take the monotonous, less exciting things out and create greater efficiency by doing that. And then giving human beings the ability to do the creative thinking that only we can do because of the context we recognize we're in. And so without getting too much more long-winded, Eric, that's what I'm here for, is to help people get that base foundational level understanding of what can AI do for me. And then let's look at how I apply it to the industry that I'm in with the best tools possible.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Lee. And so before I jump to the next person with this next question, just kind of the summary of what I'm hearing, Lee, is you're representing essentially a training program, if you will, a way to take a person, an individual leader in the role that they're in, and help them augment that role through the program that you offer. And when I think about Johnny, when I think about you, and Chad, when I think about you, and Jeremy, as you kind of represent the broader group through Procore, Lee, what you do seems to kind of partner with or augment that. The same as each one of these other solutions that's represented here has the potential to augment each other within a business.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, let's push up the next question on the screen. As we're doing that, some housekeeping as well, and I'll move this to the next person. Please continue to put questions in. We're going to do our best to take those questions and kind of interpret them to get you the answers that you want. Like Brandon, Heather, and everybody that acknowledge those. If you're still not quite getting some of the answers that you want, please kind of narrow down for us. Make sure that we're understanding the question you're asking, because we really want to leverage this group to be able to give you the information that you're looking for, because it sounds like the questions that you're asking are resonating with the broader group as well. So I want to make sure we get you those answers. The other thing to keep in mind is if you're pushing a question for us now, and for some reason that's not answered, we will get follow-ups for you. So this group is more than happy to answer your questions after the fact as well. So if you're not getting answered, we'll find a way to make sure that you're getting those answers as well. Please know that. We're going to jump into this question here, and I want to actually start. Chad, I'm going to start with you on this question, and then Jeremy, I think your perspective again is going to be unique as we roll through a lot of these. So Chad, I'll go from you, and then Jeremy, I'm going to go to you on this one. Chad, to start, what role do you see AI playing in actually improving decision making for construction projects?
Sure. Before I jump into this, can I add just one little thing onto the last question for, like how does AI actually help me? Because I do have a thought on this just really quickly.
Absolutely.
I do want to point out.
Yeah.
I do recognize that AI is kind of like the business term du jour, right? I mean, like couple of years ago, it was omni-channel, or all these crazy buzzwords that don't really mean much. I would just recommend start with the problem, like define the problem on your end. In Document Crunch's end, it's like people come to us because they say, hey, this is a reviewing contracts takes a lot of time. We have a lot of people that don't understand it, and there's not parity and understanding from the back office to the field teams for a document that seems to carry a lot of weight in what it is we're actually doing. How does AI help us there, right? So if you could just summarize your friction points and say, look, these are the things we need to solve. It's less about having this grand strategy of like knowing what AI can do for you, but it's more about saying, I know that there's friction in this part of my business. I bet there's going to be at least a handful of AI solutions out there that are going to be able to solve for that nowadays. So just, you don't have to have this like massive comprehensive goal of getting, this machine put together and stuff. Just start with like, what are the operational problems you have, and then take some demos. Like the best way to figure this out is like, go talk to these companies, figure out exactly what they're doing, and hopefully they can explain it in clear terms for exactly how it's going to help you. Put up that question again, the one that I'm actually supposed to be answering. What role do you see AI playing in the decision? Oh man, this is a good one. Okay, so I want to go back to this theme that we've hit on a few times. I'm gonna put this out there through the lens of Document Crunch, right? So Document Crunch, again, just to level set here, we go through and we scan contracts from a risk analysis side to basically figure out what the hell is in these documents that are just massive, right? And a lot of times we see people say, well, you're taking over the lawyer's job, right? The attorney's job. Your in-house counsel isn't going to like that. Your attorney on retainer isn't going to like that. And the answer is absolutely not. The answer is they hate going through these contracts, in depth. And they want to use their creative decision-making, attorney-trained mind to be able to have a result based on what's in these documents and not playing a glorified highlight, right? So then this begs the next question. It says, well, okay, if they have this new understanding and this ability to, delineate what is in these documents that are so fundamental to our operations, how do they make decisions on what has been surfaced via AI? And more importantly, how is that rolled out to a broader team? I talked about, the word I used was democratization, and we don't use that lightly, right? The lovely thing about AI is that typically for decision-making processes, for any members of the team that are impacted by the problem that you're trying to solve, AI should, and if it can't do this, don't get it, it should enable all members of that team to have the same understanding and have the ability to make informed decisions around whatever the problem it is you're trying to solve. Jeremy just talked about this too, and he was talking about getting everybody on the same playing field, right? The same education level. That is the great thing about AI, is if you deploy it properly. In Document Crunch's case, it's the understanding of not only the contracts, but how to deploy it correctly on the project execution side and stay compliant. Everybody's seeing eye to eye now, instead of going back to this point person at an attorney in the back office saying, hey, explain this to me, right? You now have AI that is level setting. And the fundamental thing here is that everybody should have the expectation that they can have the same understanding as other people when it comes to a critical piece of you executing a project, doing a piece of whatever it is that you need to be doing. It doesn't matter what it is. You just need to know that everybody can see eye to eye without a ton of friction. See AI solving that. The decision-making process then is much more aligned. It is much more informed. It is a lot smoother. And typically the long tail result is that you don't see as many mistakes that are prone to human error as you would before.
Yeah, no, I appreciate, both sides of what you just spoke to. The first one is for anybody trying to figure out, how do I put AI to work for me? Focus on the problem you're trying to solve. And when you say this part of my business, this part of my role should be easier. And when you look around the industry, if you know other people, friends, family, whoever, competitors you might be friendly with, if they're all having the same problems, then chances are there's some company focused on trying to help you solve that problem, and AI might be a part of that. And so don't focus on the solution in terms of AI, focus on the problem that you have. I like the way that you went there, Chad. And then the other half of what I heard for you was from a decision-making standpoint, it really sounds like you all are just helping everybody more effectively and efficiently be informed to make better decisions, is really boils down to.
Yeah, nobody wants to. I mean, the easiest way to put it is no project manager is going to go through and read like a full blown, 300-page contract to figure out how to do a project correctly, right? But when you can give them the cliff notes, and it's the same cliff notes that your back office got, there it is. It is compliance harmony.
Yeah, no, that's compliance harmony. Okay, yeah, Jeremy, I want to get your perspective on this again, kind of unique in the world that you all operate in. And then, Jeremy, when you're done, we're going to go to the next question. And Johnny and Lee, I'll pull you two in on the next question from here. Those of you listening, watching, please keep pushing questions in there. We'll work through them the best we can. But yeah, Jeremy, what role do you see AI playing to improve decision making?
Yeah, thanks. And I want to, I know Chad just double tapped on this by starting not addressing this question. I kind of want to do the same because I think it's so important, because we see so many comments coming up. So important to figure out what your problem is that you want to solve first. Start small, especially if you're at the beginning of your journey, and really do the work to assess a specific part of your business, what the pain points are, then go try and find a solution that can help solve those pain points. And think about, again, not overloading your teams with different new things. If you can put it within their existing workflows in a way that just helps guide them a little bit better within what they're already doing, it will help people grab onto this technology, start to use it, start to see the benefits, and then just continue to want more. So
Yeah.
I just think that's super important for everybody. And you can do it by having your own people inside your business. You can hire great consultants. I was a capital projects consultant for 8 years before coming to Procore, and loved helping people with specific situations. And I know Lee has talked about a lot of the same here as well. So now moving from that to the actual question at hand, I'd say, how it's helping is really kind of back to what I was saying earlier, supplementing a human with additional situational data, historical data, to really advance and improve the way we make decisions. But it's not, I think there's still this need to trust and verify, or trust but verify, excuse me,
Yeah.
which is something that I think a lot of us in the technology world understand inherently and think a lot about, right? Like, think of it like an assist in basketball or something. It's getting you the ball in the place to then make your decision. Similar with this, it's setting you up to make a decision. It's giving you a lot of great information, and probably even giving you a bit of a decision that you can then look at and say, is this the right decision? So all of what we've talked about here today, I think what this is really teeing up and helping you make decisions is just much more quickly analyzing a lot more data that's relevant to the decision, presenting it to you hopefully in a way that's intuitive and within your existing workflows of like, how am I just going about my day, and then allowing you to consider it and say, okay, well, this was presented to me based on a lot of information and great historical data or situational data from what's going on today. Let me go verify a few things to make sure that, like, I agree with this decision. But it's going to get you to that, do I agree with this decision or not, faster.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like that picture, the assist picture. So from a decision-making standpoint, if you're listening or watching, you're a business owner, you're a project manager, you're a pre-construction estimator, whatever that role, you might even be salesperson in this mix, whatever that role is, if you've chosen a solution, or your company has chosen a solution to provide support, and that includes AI, it's not necessarily the answer in and of itself, it's that assist. I like that picture, to help you reach a better decision or have a better answer along the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's great. I appreciate that. Let's go ahead and jump to the next question. Johnny, I'm going to go to you first, and then Lee, I'm going to go to you. I'm watching the comments in the chat on the side. So Brandon and Heather, I think yours was similar. If you still don't feel like your question's being answered, please go ahead and plug it back in, because I really do think it was a great question. But let's go ahead and jump in from here. Johnny, for construction firms looking to integrate AI, what steps should they take to assess the tools that provide the most value for their specific business needs? So I'm picturing this company says, hey, I know what my problem is. This kind of comes on the heels, I think, of Chad, of what you said. Company says, I know what the problem is. Now I want to go through this search process to see who's available in the marketplace to help me solve this problem.
Yes. Can I try to answer Brandon's and Heather's question before answering this question?
100%. Hey, if we haven't figured it out yet as a group, we can color outside the lines all we want, as long as it's within the sphere of this conversation, and then some. But yeah, please do. Please try to answer that.
I'll try to be very short. So again, I usually, wherever I go, people always think about me as the pessimistic guy, but it is what it is. Why I'm saying this? Because like, again, I said it in the beginning, AI is the word, it's very, like, rings very well, AI, artificial intelligence. But just look at it this way. When you go to a vendor and you want to buy something from the supermarket and you use your credit card, there is very sophisticated handshake diffie-Hellman like Diffie-Hellman and million other handshake technologies that allow like hundreds of thousands of transactions to happen in less than a second. But we don't really care. All I care about is that my card works, I pay my thing quickly, and I leave, and I go do whatever I want to do. What I advise people to, again, recommend, I'm not trying in any way, shape, or form to reduce the value of AI. It is the only time in human history when machines made decisions for humans. This is where we are, and this is where AI and all this hype is around it, because it is the first time in history machines make decisions for people. But again, for you as a person who wants to use a tool, in your background, you really should not care about how the algorithms are working, what type of machine learning models these companies are using. At the end of the day, if this tool solves your problem, that's what you care. So this is that. I hope, again, I answered your question about like AI. What I'm trying to say is that, yes, this is a revolutionary point in time, but for you as a user, you should not care. What you should care is that you are looking for a tool. First of all, you found your problem, like the gentleman mentioned. That's the most important thing. I actually, when I help advise construction companies for their tech strategy, I put it in 3 steps. It is your process, user empathy, and then tech will follow. I think Chad mentioned it. There's going to be millions of software vendors like us trying to take your money, basically, just to put it plain and simple. You need to figure out your process, your problem, what is the process, and then have empathy to your employees, that they are changing something. They are busy, already busy, and they know a tool that they have been using, for example, for 10 years. Understand that this is not very easy. Some people have kids, some people are busy, some people dance salsa like me after work. The people are busy. So we need to like handle them with care while we are transitioning from an existing tool to a new tool. And after that, there is a lot of vendors out there, or actually there will be a lot of vendors. If you don't know, a lot of venture capitalists that are generalists that didn't invest in construction in the past, they used to invest in healthcare and pure tech, are throwing millions and billions actually of dollars in construction technology because they know there is greenfield. So you will see a lot of tech companies coming. Now, to answer the question, I think you need a software company that the software user interface and the friendliness of the tool, I think, is paramount. Because again, whatever problem we are trying to solve, going back to the user empathy, if the user friendliness of the tool is good, people will make it easier for people to move. I think look for support. If a company really provides support, these are very important because, again, helps in the transition. When there is somebody replying to your chat, a real person in 10 minutes, maybe, instead of somebody replying in 3 days, this will make hell big of a difference for the transition. But again, I think a lot have been said. Look for multiple vendors, make a decision. If one doesn't work, jump for the other. Again, sometimes it's a big investment, but a lot of times this is how it goes. Again, I am a little bit pessimistic, I know, but I like to be realistic as well.
Yeah, it sounds like, though, it still kind of echoes some of what we've already heard from everybody on the panel so far. So if you're a business owner, business leader, whatever role you play within your construction company, focus on the problem you're trying to solve, ensure that the solution that you're looking at solves that problem. If you're looking for, to use the analogy, a way to receive credit cards, that's not what we're here talking about. But if that's the solution you're looking for, then don't buy a cash register. So focus on the problem, make sure the solution matches the problem. You don't get caught up in a bunch of the AI buzzwords, but you're actually focused on, does this solve my problem? And then it sounded like, Johnny, from what you're kind of walking us through as well, is look around, see what's available to solve that problem in the marketplace, and make the best decision possible you have with that information. And it's definitely buyer beware, though. And hopefully on this panel today, we've got a good group of you together. But some of you that are watching or listening are trying to solve problems that aren't represented on this panel. So I think just take that advice. Don't worry so much about the shiny object. Worry about the problem, and does this solution actually solve that for me? I want to jump. So I'm going to jump to Lee for you on this one, and because the way that you're solving this potential problem, if I can reframe it, the problem you're solving really has to do with that leadership development or internal knowledge within an organization to know how to leverage widely available tools like ChatGPT. And so same question, but kind of framing it that way for you, if you can walk us through the answer that you would give us.
Yeah, well, I've been around long enough to remember when we first came out with what we called decision support software or decision support systems. And back in the day, that really meant get all the data in one place that I can look at it in total or in an aggregate or drill into it. The difference with AI is that it now has an ability to do reasoning, and that allows some thinking to take place that previously all fell on me. And so my suggestion is that your organization is obviously going to be better off when you bring some additional decision-making reasoning to the table, as AI will do in all of these software applications. It will look at things that your mind might overlook. And so that's one of the powerful strengths of being in an AI world. But getting down to the kind of the least common denominator, we all need to develop some AI muscle, if you will. And I think that's what we're talking about when we look at a base AI skills foundational training experience. And it's a great place to start, just from the standpoint of, it kind of opens the box to say, what is possible now that I'm embracing AI capabilities in my vertical, in the decision making that I need to do. Help me to understand what exactly this reasoning engine can do, given the right context. And whenever I start my training, I say context is king. And so the context needs to be you, and to the point of all the panelists, the problem you're trying to solve, the opportunity you're trying to grab, the decision that you're trying to make, what you're trying to accomplish with the data, basically assisted by the artificial intelligence, the AI, and all that it can do. I don't have a particular software to offer. What I'm offering is a training mechanism to develop some organizational muscle, so that now you can review the other tools and accessories and great software solutions, that some of which are represented here, that can help you in your vertical, in construction, and the things that you need to get done on a daily basis. But I think we start with people. And as I recognized previously, we start with people who are vastly unaware of what AI can do. And that's far more important than how it does it, or what's the technology behind it, or who's the vendor that's pushing it. Is help me to open my mind to develop some AI muscle, so that I can then leverage AI appropriately to the issue at hand. And so I think that's the approach that I would take for anybody who's kind of struggling with, okay, I hear AI, I hear it's now in popular software products and estimators and things that I want to use, but how do I get started just by understanding an ability to think in a new way? And that's really what we're talking about when we start to introduce AI to all of these things, is we need to think a little bit in a new way. So get me some muscle that I can do that with.
Yeah. I want to highlight some things that you just said in a second, Lee. But before I do that, I just want to call it Jeremy for you. Brandon pushed a question in there that I'm going to move to you after I highlight some things for Lee. And so Jordan or Mark, can you grab the end of that? I'll do my best to kind of summarize it. We'll push that on the screen when we go to Jeremy. I think that's really a great question for us to kind of land on with Jeremy, and then we'll do kind of final final thoughts from everybody. But Lee, one of the things as you were talking that occurred to me is really the selection process for the problem you solve is anybody that's listening, watching, when we thought to ourselves, how do I learn how to use what's available in the market? And so then you start to go through everything that's available online that claims to be able to teach you. And there's a lot of great stuff out there. I know for me personally, being part of a group, part of a cohort, it creates accountability for me. I'm more likely to show up. And so what Lee offers, it checked the box for me on that, which is part of why I found it so intriguing. But then it also offers a belt system. You're going from technically gray belt up to black belt. So there's a progression. And if I'm honest, I was a bit arrogant because I thought to myself, gray belt, white belt, I'm already brown belt. Why do I need these other ones? Let me skip ahead. Turns out I'm not as smart as I thought I was, and I didn't know as much as I thought I knew. So I say that to say, when you're selecting what it is you might use to learn more about the widely available tools like ChatGPT, it really has to fit your learning style and what you know is going to work for you. I mean, I downloaded a bunch of videos, joined a bunch of other newsletters and things. And if I'm honest, I picked up a few things here and there, but I didn't hold myself accountable. So let's go ahead and jump though. So I think, Jeremy, this question, if I understand it, Brandon, from you, it sounds like, when you're kind of stepping back and you're thinking through, problems that you could solve within the business, solutions that might be available, your broader concern is you don't want to just kind of go piece by piece if there's something you should be looking at that's more encompassing, if you will. And Jeremy, I'm just curious your perspective on that, given the role that the Procore plays as an industry leader in construction management software, and then some, and then the role that you play as you're looking at everybody that is in the marketplace that you're kind of partnering with in some way, shape, or form. So curious your perspective on this question here. Let's go.
Yeah, I think it's a great question. And in the world of construction technology and where we have gotten to, there are a ton of really amazing, great point solutions out there. But that's also a bit of a, it's exciting, but it's also overwhelming and can be a bit of a problem if those things don't really talk to each other. Then if you start putting all these things in place, all of a sudden you might end up with what you said, a piecework situation where people have to go to all these different things to try and get their job done. And they're not becoming much more efficient, which is what we've been talking about here. They're actually becoming maybe more just scattered, getting a little bit of that efficiency, but not as much. So truthfully, the way that Procore looks at it is we are a platform for that reason. We want to connect workflows, and we have a really robust technology application marketplace for our partners and a program around bringing those partners in. And part of my job, hopefully, is making sure that we have a great stable of partners that are deeply integrated into Procore. So again, looking through that lens and how we look at it, we want to help you kind of slim down the number of things you're using. Well, we want to help you slim down the number of places you have to go to access the things you're using, or actually more importantly. So the platform strategy that we have and the ecosystem strategy that we have, it's really all about integrating all these workflows and all these great technologies into a platform that is, I hate saying this, but I'll say it just to help drive this home, a one-stop shop, so to say, that a lot of people say, right? Your people go, the way we like to think about it, hopefully your people go into Procore every morning, they open it up, and they can go about their day leveraging all these different pieces of technology from within one platform, within the workflows they're generally doing. So as you go out and look for these, to solve individual problems that you have along that journey of getting more mature with this, I'd say look at them from an aspect of, first of all, do I have a platform that I'm utilizing that all of my people are going daily and plugging into it? And this is where Microsoft Copilot became great, because a lot of people, right, use Microsoft tools and technology every day for general business process. So put Copilot right inside of that and help make that process better for everybody who's using those tools every day. Same with something like Procore or whatever else you're using for your project management platform. Make sure the other technologies either already integrate into that or are going in that way. There's new technologies out there that may not be there yet. that's what's exciting for me too, is I'm always looking for those new technologies that I can go get as a Procore partner that hopefully are excited to build into Procore so we can bring it to the industry. If someone is not integrated into what you're generally using as your tech stack already, ask them about it. Ask them if it's on their roadmap. Ask them if it's part of their plan or how they're going to get there, because it is important. And I think a lot of people that have smaller technology businesses solving these great problems are likely already thinking about that in one way or another, when and how they can get their products into the rest of the workflow connected to everything else they do. You hear Johnny say they do takeoff, they don't do estimating. I know Togal AI is connected to a lot of great estimating products to help fuel that workflow. Same with Document Crunch inside of Procore. Same idea. So
Yeah.
I'll stop there because I just spoke a lot.
No, I think that was great. I think that was really Brandon, hopefully you agree, because to your question, I think that was a perfect answer to the question, which is just be aware of essentially the ecosystem, the other tools, software that you're using and what's related to them already. And of course, if you're using a system like Procore or Procore, be aware of the ecosystem that they're part of or even shaping or creating on their own. Yeah, Brandon says good answer. So he approves. Jeremy, you passed. So really, we're getting ready to land. As we land, everybody that's listening, watching now, Jordan's going to go ahead and put some websites into the comments just to make sure that you're accessing or going to the right websites for the right companies. You can see those that are in there. And I'm going to give everybody that's on the panel an opportunity just to give us kind of your final thoughts. If you're listening now and you're getting ready to drop, I would listen to these final thoughts just so you know, number one, how to get a hold of someone if it's not just straight through the website. But number two, each person on the panel, if you can just give us your final thoughts as it relates to what everybody that is working within the construction industry should be considering as it relates to AI. Last plug also with Lee, you'll see as he goes through everything, we put the website in there. We've been able to work out a promotional offer for you to see what the AI training experience is all about. We have 2 sessions that are coming up, not next week, but the week after. You can go to that website. There's a small cost to that, but it's satisfaction guarantee. So if you go to it, you don't like Lee, that's fine. We'll give you the money back afterwards. But you can get a taste of what it would be like to go through the AI training experience and how that might augment you in the role that you're in. I'm going to go in the order that I have, though. Jeremy, if you can close us out, then Lee, then Chad, then Johnny, please.
I apologize. Kind of embarrassing. I missed the question.
Yeah, just quick. How can people get a hold of you or Procore? What should they be considering if they're listening to this and saying, "Hey, I need to talk to Procore or talk to Jeremy," whatever you prefer on that end. And then any final thoughts that people should consider in the world of construction AI?
Thank you. That's an easy one.
Yeah.
So you can get a hold of me through LinkedIn. I've got a public LinkedIn profile. Please, I always welcome anyone to reach out to me that way. And I can direct you from there anywhere else you need to go, or just jump on for a chat. Procore.com, great place to go for a lot of information. And there's ways to come inbound to us if you want to learn more about what we're doing. And then marketplace.procore.com is our app marketplace where you can see all of our integrated partners, again, Togal, DocCrunch, and 500 plus others. So those are some resources for you all to learn a little bit more. I'd say Procore Groundbreak too, if you're in the industry and want to go to a great industry event. That's our user conference in November in Denver, and we have a ton of partners on the floor. So a lot of great technology there as well. So yeah, those are all the resources I would say that you guys should check out, and always happy to talk more about it.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Jeremy. Lee, same questions for you just to close us out.
Yeah, I think you want to remember the people. Great tools, great technology, all those things are really important. You need to make your best choices there. We've got some great choices here represented on the panel, but you want to bring your people along. And that's where I say basic skills, foundational muscle, and being able to handle AI in a confident manner that will lead to transformation. Come and check it out.
Yeah, appreciate that. And Chad, how about you? Just final remarks and questions.
Yep. DocumentCrunch.com, as you can clearly see in the chat. I'm gonna throw out my my email address in there too. If you have any questions, we're welcome to chat. We're not pushy salespeople or anything, so let us demo what the AI can actually do if you're curious and have issues around your contract or compliance. The last thing I'd say is something we haven't really touched on, but if you are looking at AI and it is ever being sold to you as something that replaces the decision-making process, where a human is going to be at the helm of making that decision after all facts have been surfaced and are considered, say no. We've hit on this a little bit, but it replaces the information gathering ability. It does not and should not replace the ability for you to contextually analyze and make a decision on whatever the output is around it. So if you're looking at an AI and they're like, we're going to totally take off, the human ability to say yes or no to something based on data, maybe they make it sound really sexy. Be very, very cognizant of that promise and be very skeptical of it. I would say that we are not near the point to where AI can or should be making decisions that a human should be making. So just keep that in the back of your mind anytime you're actually analyzing any sort of platform or solution.
Yeah, that's great advice. And Johnny, last but not least, if you want to round us out and how people
Yeah.
get a hold of you, your company, and same question on final thoughts.
Yeah, sure. I think also the website is in the chat, www.toggle.ai. You can, there is a virtual tour there if you want to see the product, like with a virtual tour. If you want the demo, you can request a demo. One of my team will reach out and we can give you like a customized demo. You can send them your drawings and then they will give you a demo on your drawings. My final thought is, if we imagine ourselves as the executives of Microsoft and we sit down, we close our eyes, and we want to decide what are we going to name our the strongest AI tool in the world. We sit down and we don't call it autopilot, we call it copilot. I think that has a lot of signals to everybody. Like Chad said, it's not going to replace you. Even when they released copilot, you could go to their website, they say Copilot is not autopilot. So as I said, again, the signal of the name, I think is huge coming from an AI monster like Microsoft.
Yeah, that's a really, really good thought and kind of looking at, one of the giants and how they even named it.
The biggest, right?
Yeah. Hey, so thank you, each of you on the panel. Thank you for taking the time. You invested time up front. You invested time here on the panel as well. For anybody listening, watching as you're dropping off, or if you're listening to the recording, please dig into the report that Jordan is going to provide. So as I think about a lot of the questions that were asked here and the information that was provided by the panel members, the report that Jordan's put together from the research that she's done really speaks to or answers a lot of these same questions from another perspective. Either complements what was said or augments what was said or adds to in areas that weren't spoken to. So thank you all for joining, and I look forward to the next time, potentially, we see some of you again. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.